Let's see, is this working? Oh, stop streaming. Let's try this again here. Oh. Can you hear me in the Philippines? This is the Philippines checking in. It does. All right, we're waiting here for this to get caught up here. Let's. Tim, can you hear me? Loud and awesome. Great. All right. Our last broadcast went well, so let's see what comes up here. Wonder why this is. I'm trying to get this. Hold on. Okay, now it's going. There we go. All right. Fun time, good times. Okay. Right. Looks like we got our. We are ready to go with our. What do you call these things again? Let's see here. What are these called? Carabao. Carabao. Okay, I hope I said that right. You guys are going to be laughing at me all night. So, Calaba. All right, we'll go with that. We'll go with that there. So, Tim, I don't know how many other people are with you, but did you guys have any? What did you? I was going to be available to answer any questions tonight. I'm not sure if you had any scholars with you or what, but by all means, let me avail myself to answering any questions that you guys might have. So let me just kind of start this off. I'm a dad who loves to draw. This is a live drawing feed that we're doing tonight, and we'll be drawing this cow. It's called a Calaba. I hope I said that right. And I'm connected with some friends. All right, we're connecting with some friends of mine that are in the Philippines, and they're missionaries out there, and they asked me to kind of talk to some of their students, if they're around, or even their family, about what I do. And so that's what we're going to do, and then we will draw the cow, the Calaba, as well. I am a dad who loves to draw, and if you want to join our Facebook group, I will put that in the link in the description, and that's about it. So, okay, let's see. Why did you choose graphic design? Well, that's a great question. Some people don't know, but I am also a graphic designer full time. Currently I work for Annie Ann's Pretzels, doing design for them. And but back when I was in high school, I chose graphic design because, believe it or not, I didn't have the discipline to draw back then, and it was something that was closely related to drawing, and it turned out it was pretty steady. So that was really why I went into graphic design. If I could wind the clock backwards, I might do something differently, but hey, it doesn't work like that. So you have to go with your choices. So for me, it wasn't until I was in my 20s that I finally decided to really put everything into drawing. And though I would not be able to make a full-time career of it, it's something that I pursued with intense passion. So here we are today, and I absolutely love drawing. I love the painting aspect. A year ago, I made the transition to work digitally, and then 6 months ago, I decided to not even use Photoshop anymore, but use this program called Procreate that comes on my iPad, and use an Apple Pencil to do it. So that's my weapon of choice here. What else? Any other questions on that? Any other questions you guys have? All right. Well, let's get to drawing a little bit. Let's see. So you taught at university in Pennsylvania. Yeah. Have you always been driven to teach? I have been. In a weird kind of way. I get a lot of joy, Shelby, out of helping people, and especially if I could help them not make my same mistakes. If I can encourage them, I will do that. I really love being honest and just pointing people in the right direction, being more of a coach, I suppose, in that sense. Trying to think of before. I was always started to teach the art stuff before Drexel. A friend of mine said, hey, we have an adjunct position at Drexel University. And so I took a very long break from graphic design and started teaching graphic design at Drexel and figure drawing there. And then had also opportunity at the Pennsylvania School of Art Design. Did that. And I've just been teaching. I just haven't stopped. So when all this came available, when YouTube came up, and just a couple years ago, well, I started my channel. Officially, I started my channel almost. It'll be just 6 months now, but yeah, I'm in it. I love it. Absolutely love it. Let's see. Any advice on how to choose a career? Tim says. Okay, so how would you choose a career? Well, I would. Sometimes you. Are you familiar with? There's a guy named Mike Rowe, and he talks about a lot of times about career choice. And sometimes you don't do what you want to do, but you do what can provide for your family and can provide for others. So I would my only recommendation to anyone is stay out of debt. If you could do that, especially if you're going to go to college. Like our son, he ended up becoming a draftsman, and he went to a school, what's the word I'm looking for? A trade school. And, he got out with zero debt and is doing rather well. So I would, that's where I would be most careful of taking on debt just to say you went to a university. So outside of that, if you're like, oh, I just love to dance, that's fine, but you may not be able to make a living dancing or doing art. No, I'm just teasing. But you know what I'm saying is that I think you just have to be mindful of what's practical and what your long-term goals are. All right. Any other questions right now? All right, let's talk about this. Let's talk about this calibo Calabar. All right. So I'm looking at them, and like when I approach different anything, I go in 3 phases. I will start off with gesture, and then I'll try and go into construction, and then I'll go into detail. And I try and keep it as Carabao. Thank you. So this is the process that I will go into. So what I mean by gesture is where you are. Let's just say I was going to gesture a cube here, right? So a cube might be like this. All right, so there's a quick gesture of a cube. Then I'm going to go into construction. So I'm going to think more in terms of how this cube is coming together here. And then I'm going to go into detail, and detail is going to be more shadow. Okay, so that really is the process that I go through when I'm drawing. Those 3 phases. All right. So with that being said, let's take a look at this guy here. So I'm going to just gesture him out, and a lot of times when I'm gesturing, I like to hold my pencil further back instead of up near the tip, and I also like to kind of use the more of the side of it. All right, so let's just see how we do here. And a lot of times it's like I like to think of my pencil almost like a ice skater that's skating across the page. Another thing too is I'm gonna shut this down here. There. Another thing too is when you are gesturing, it's like if you ever have done any type of sculpture, you oftentimes they will say like you will use an armature. An armature is a wire that's twisted up on each other, and then you take the clay and apply it to it. So if you were going to do a figure in clay, you would use this wire armature, and it kind of has a very gestural feel to it. All right, so there's a nice little gesture I got going. That I can slowly build on this here. So let's go ahead and get into this construction phase. And what I'm going to do here is start looking at some of my basic volumes. All right, so immediately what I see going on, and mind you, I have not drawn this yet. I just looked at it. So I'm coming in cold here. And a lot of times it's helpful if you draw something over multiple times, then you will get a better feel for what things are. But in this case, I wanted to come in cold to see how we do. All right. So as I'm looking at this carabao, this is what I'm seeing in my mind. Now, I'm seeing a wedge here. I'm seeing a very basic wedge here in his head. All right. And then, of course, there is going to be I'm envisioning I could see a sphere for his round body there. And then I know, now this is where if you practice, when you start studying anatomy of animals and things, you will know there's consistency from animal to animal. Like their hind area can often be a very boxy form, And then I know that this round area almost has a horseshoe shape to it. Okay, so these are all. Hold on for one quick second. All right, let's get back to this now. So these are the shapes and volumes that I could see on this this carabao. Okay, so I'm going to erase those now. And let's get back to drawing some of these detail things. So once again, we want to. The sweat guy was near our house yesterday when we. All right. So I'm going to try and draw very lightly here. Try and get some of these forms in. All right. One of our last couple broadcasts ago, I decided I was going to try and stop saying all right all the time. All right, so I'm looking across my form here, and I'm using different measurements in order to make sure things are close and accurate. So this is the that's definitely the shape of his head here. And so I want to keep things parallel because those bones are, his skeletal bones are going to do that, are going to keep everything squared up. All right. I'm going to put a line down here to help me remember the center of his head. See, his mouth is coming around here. His ear is coming a little bit below his eyes there. And I also noticed the tip of his ear is extending out further than those horns there. All right, so that's good for his head right now. We'll come back and get some detail here in just a little bit. Okay, so one of the things as I'm drawing, I'm also thinking of proportion. Proportion is trying to get the relationship of things equal across the board. So in this case, there are different ways to make sure your proportion is right on. Here's one of them. This is a tool that I would use called using negative shapes. So if I look at our guy here, I can see this kind of shape. That's the negative shape. Okay, so I want to kind of look for that in order to establish where his foot is. So as I'm kind of envisioning that. Okay, I think I got that shape pretty nice there. And as look at this, there's his hoof. Let's just come in here for a minute and discuss his hoof. So his hoof is going to be almost, remember this is coming down and it's literally in the ground. Okay? It's a caribou, a type of cow, or is it in the same family? There, Tim Shelby has a question in the text. I think you could probably answer, possibly. But you could see. I'll use the oval here to kind of tell me where his foot is coming into the ground. You see that? So the way that I did that, I'll do it again. This is where that foot is having contact to the ground. I could see the split is right there. All right, and then I could draw it from there. This is what we call, of course, the construction aspect. All right. So his leg's coming down. A water buffalo family. Look at that. James got the question there. All right, good job, buddy. All right, so his backside's coming up here, and I could see there's like, all right, one thing immediately that I also notice here is he has this hump coming up here. And it looks like I may have drawn him too wide this way. So that's okay. This is the construction phase. So this is when we want to make these small adjustments. So if I'm coming around here, this is what I'm looking at in my mind. I'm trying to ask myself, oh, look at this shape right here. All right, that's the shape that I want toward the back end of his body there, and that will help me keep him in proportion. All right, so this is coming down here, and then you have the back hind leg that's almost coming straight down here. See that? All right, next thing I want to check is where the placement of his feet is. So if I have one here, there's another one, and there's another one. Now his other foot, I believe, is behind over there, but this is the relationship that I want to try and look for as I start placing the feet. So if I'm saying his foot is there, okay, boom. And I think I'm okay with that there. This is coming up here. Yeah, are these carabaos, are they only in the Philippines? All right, so let's kind of, I think we've got some nice structure here with what's happening to his feet. I feel pretty good with the proportion. I want to address this eye. This eye is really interesting. So let's talk about this eye here. An eyeball is going to be round, of course. It's like a sphere, okay? But on top of the eye, we are going to have our eyelid. And same case here. So what I like to do when I'm drawing my eyes, I like to start off with the eyeball, and then I like to wrap around my eyelid. And then the same thing here, the bottom part. So as I'm looking closely at our guy here, I could see that he has this it's not an eyebrow, but it's that wedge there, and then this is coming up, and that little section is right here. This little light part right there is I'm trying to build it right there. Oops. Let me fix that. But I couldn't do that. The only way I could get this nice and accurate if I start off with an actual eyeball. So when I'm drawing eyes, typically I like to start with an eyeball, and then I can get into it and really get a feel that skin is wrapping around. Now that's just me. That's just how I do it. But I'm sure there's other areas. Now the other thing too is look at this. Usually with an eyeball, when you have your eye in and eyeball in this case, this water buffalo, this caribou is there. The bottom part of the eyelid is going to catch some light. And so you want to be aware of that. And that's happening. Let me show you where that's happening. That is happening right here. Okay? So we want to make sure that we are respecting that. And I've done that already with that little bit of sliver of light right there. All right? Okay, so let's keep working. Let's keep working them. I'm going to get the other eye in here. Center line. And then I could see that his nostrils over there. And this guy is definitely munching some grass. All right, same thing with his horns here, I've noticed. His horns are coming in almost like a cylinder. And then, of course, his head is wrapping around those. So that's another thing we want to be mindful of. All right, let's go ahead and get his ears in here. Ears seem to be going straight across. All right, excellent. Let's kind of move. I'm going to move into his back area here. One thing on his eyes, I just realized as I took a little break there, he has these bone that is forming the top of his head here. All right. Ridge is coming back here. Let's get this foot in here. I put a little mark here, kind of help me indicate where the change of direction on his foot is. And of course, this is coming straight down. You have that opening that where the foot is split right there. And then when you're drawing animals, you don't want to just stop where it comes to the body. This actually feeds up into the body. Okay. This is coming across here. Let's get this other leg in here. One thing about when you draw a hind leg of an animal, this is interesting. Now, typically, you know, our feet, you could say our feet are almost like a wedge. All right. That is one big foot right there. Okay. All right. There's a big old toe right there. All right. So that's our foot. All right. That's our heel, toe there. Okay. This is the outside of the foot. All right. Heel, toe. Thing is, with an animal, it's very interesting. This actually is their heel, and then their toes are right there. So their foot is almost this whole entire length. When I figured that out, that helped me draw animals so much better, of being aware that it's not this front little part. It goes all the way back to here. It's common on dogs, cats, any kind of animal, the beast. So if you think of this lower part of the leg as their foot, and then the what's the word? What is it? It's not it's not a cleft foot. I can't remember off the top of my head. But you get you see what I'm saying here. So just you want to think of that whole thing as a foot there. And then the cleft part there is actually their toes. All right, let's keep going. He's got some ribs coming down here. All right. And I'm going to switch over now to a different brush so I could get a little bit better tone here. One thing, here's something to think about. When you're working digitally, you usually have like a color wheel like this. If you go straight up and down, that will usually give you a good shadow color. But when we're dealing with animals and things, sometimes the angle will be slightly different. So let's come up here now, and let's add some tone to him. And since he is overall pretty gray, we're going to just start with I'm just going to go into him with a dark tone here overall. Okay, so that's going to be my light tone. Then let's come in here and give him a little bit of a darker tone. And what I'm trying to do in my mind is separate where is the dark and where is the light. All right, let's come back in here with a little middle tone here. Now I'm going to get in a little more detail here. I'm going to switch back to my 6H pencil. All right. Looking closely at some of the different values that are going. Oh, he's got this. He does have this rope coming around the top of his head here. I'm sure that's how the farmer will like to control him. Hit a little highlight there. And I'm going to hit a little more highlight back into his horn there because I lost it. And the edge of his ear. We were just talking in our last little class here about adding highlights. So I'm taking advantage of it. Shelly, I'm sure. Is Shelly watching? Yeah. Shelby's watching, so she's going to enjoy that, I'm sure. All right. A little more tone over here. One thing I do want to do, let's go ahead. I'm going to drop some tone on the ground here. And I'm going back and forth horizontally with my pencil because that's going to help establish that this ground is flat in a way. And he is eating this grass, so maybe we can help show some of that. Any other questions? I'm sure if you had them, you would have asked them by now, so why don't we just sit back and enjoy drawing, huh? Boy, that right there is really dark. All right. These little lines I'm going horizontally, you could call those surface lines. That brings up an interesting idea too. Let me show you that. That's a good something to mess around with here. Let me move that up there. All right, surface lines. This is great. Surface lines help to tell us what is happening around a form, okay? I'm going to, even though I can't see his back leg there, I'm going to put something in there. Okay. So a surface line is, let me show you this little demonstration here over here. Okay, two basic tree trunks are right here in front of me, okay? If I add surface lines to them, I can actually make them come forward in space or fall away from us. And let me show you what I mean. This is a surface line here. This gives me a sense that this tree trunk is round. This branch is coming towards us, and this one is going away. You see that? Let's do the opposite on the other one. Now if I go like this, now this tree is falling away from us. That branch is going away from us, and this one is coming towards us. So if we use surface lines on things, we can really help to give the illusion that something's coming towards us or it's going away from us, okay? So in this case of our caribou, as I'm putting lines down here, I'm following the surface of his belly as it goes underneath, okay? We could do the same. We could kind of add some lines to the top of his muzzle or his head there, and then of course as we put in lines going down the side of his head, we're going to want to go the opposite way. Around his horns, we could add some. And even on the skull where that wraps around his head. Let's get some, let's think about if we could put some back here. Hair on the back here. And then his hip is back here. All right. And I'm going to add some grasses here, like he's eating them. So when I'm on the ground here, as I'm adding horizontal lines, this is creating surface lines. All right. Well, I think we've nailed this guy. I'm pretty happy. I might put him on our refrigerator here when we're done. Yeah, I think I might end up doing that. Any other questions? Any other questions? James retracted a statement. I wonder what he had said. It's cold here. You guys want to know what the weather was? It was snowing yesterday, and I'm sitting here with 3 layers of clothing on. What's the weather like there in the Philippines? It's probably 80 with high humidity. Were you guys affected at all by that volcano that erupted near Tonga? I think you guys are kind of protected from some of the other islands. That was really fun. Oh, the volcano was fun? Oh, no, this whole little class was fun. Okay, got it. I understand, Gina. I'm glad you guys enjoyed that. So, yeah, anything else? Anything else? Okay, I think with that being said, I'm going to sign off. Let's see, can you show us another example of surface lines? Sure. Okay. That's a good... Okay, so here's... Shelby, that's a great question there. So I got one for you here. No effect from Tonga. Okay. Let's move this up here. Let me just make sure I'm on the right layer here. Oops. And I'm going to get rid of this guy here. Okay, so earlier tonight we had drawn a lighthouse of the ocean. So Shelby, a lot of times when you have an ocean situation, let's just put up some waves here. In fact, hold that thought right there. Okay, let me just do something here. This is a good example right here. Let's see. Oh yeah. Okay, this is great. This is another place that I like to use surface lines. All right. I like to use them when I'm like, hold on, let me fix one thing here. All right, perfect. I like to use it when I'm, they come and play for me a lot when I am drawing water or ocean, okay? So, that we could actually have a whole class on just drawing the ocean, but what I will use them for is something like this. All right, so I'm just kind of putting in some of the forms here of the waves, but what I'm thinking of, and it's not clear, it's not in the picture per se, but I'm going to add it. I'm going to add it because it helps us to visualize what's happening with water. So as you can see, if I add some surface lines to one side of the water, I could really get a sense that these are waves in the water. Am I still on the Google? Oh, okay. Thank you for the heads up. I know what happened. Here we come. All right. There it is. I only see these. Yeah, yep. We just fixed it. So let's start fresh here. There's this little app I use to help broadcast from my iPad to the software that puts it on YouTube. So that's why it stopped broadcasting. So here we'll start fresh. How about that? Okay. So, for example. All right, so here we go. So we have some water here. So I'm going to start to put some indications of waves in here because water can be very deceptive, very difficult to draw at times. But here, this is a good example where I can use surface lines to help tell the story of water. All right, so I also like to think of water as mountain ranges. That's another way to think of it, that mountain ranges going back in space. So this is how I can use surface lines here. They're They're not in the water per se, but man, I'll tell you, it really helps for the viewer to get a sense of the choppiness. I'll tell you an artist that you might want to look up. J.C. Liondecker. J.C. Liondecker. Let me see if I can put something. Hold on here. Let me bring this up. Yep. J.C. Liondecker, he was an American illustrator. And if you go back and look at some of his paintings, there are a lot of them. You really can get a sense where he has used surface lines to create form and volume, especially in clothing and things of that sort. So take a look. I only see the example. All right. So you could really take a look at that, of how he's used that. Another example, another artist was, I'll think of him. He was a wood carver. Oh man, I cannot believe I forgot. It will come to me. Albert Durer. I knew it. I'll put that one in there too. Yeah, here it is. Now, Albert Durer would do woodcuts. So, woodcuts, he would have to use surface lines to indicate the form of things. But that's great. That was a great question. Then, of course, when you start getting more into waves, you're going to have certain waves that are certain areas that are going to be shallow. Let's just delete that. Let's see now. Someone snuck in here and start putting all kinds of. Wow, we're getting slammed right now. All right. Okay, sorry about that. We'll have to. I don't know if you can see that. Hopefully, you can see that crazy chat there. Okay. All right. So, anyways, I think with that we should call it a night, huh? So. I really can't see how they can be very useful in our sketches, especially with perspective pieces. They will, and Shelby, as we're working, you will see me use them more and more. It's really as you are working around a form, they will come up. So even if here's another example, I could just think if you had a corner of a wood or a cabinet like this, this will show up here. You might these are surface lines right here. And then when you might add a shadow underneath here, could also you're going to want to draw your shadow in the sense of surface lines. So it really just helps to kind of give the direction as you're adding tone, to give something form and volume. Okay? All right, with that, I'm going to call it a night. I hope you all enjoyed that. I think you did. And I will see you next time. All right. Shelby, I'll see you in the Facebook group. All right. Thanks for watching, everyone. Good night.